Brian, hey, congratulations for Futra Days.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
More, more of a congratulations for having a premiere at Cinejoy this week. Well, how do you
Yeah,
feel
it's really
about that?
cool. Yeah, I mean, super excited. It's such a, I think for the type of film it is and being science fiction and kind of futuristic and all that stuff, being at Silicon Valley Festival and all the AR, VR stuff that they're doing and all the other things there, it's really a good place, good home for to premiere the film.
So, where the original idea came from for Future Days for yourself? What sparked this?
Yeah, well, I had been working on another script before. Some of the themes and things came through from that. I had been trying to get that off the ground for like a year or two. It just wasn't happening. This is my second film, and yeah, I just kind of like went on a hike one day on like Mulholland Drive, and I was just like, what if there's like two versions of myself? One on like Hollywood side and one on the Valley side, and if they never met. So I kind of like took that as a jumping off point, and I kind of like really wrote the script in like a fever dream. Wrote it in like 2 weeks. Just kind of like poured out of me. I revised it over the course of like another year or two, but it was kind of like a quick process. So that's kind of how it came about.
So, how did you want to handle the time travel elements? I think this film is much more of a romance film than a time travel.
For sure, it was kind of it's kind of like it's almost like a philosopher's thought experiment. And so even though the time travel elements aren't as much there in terms of once you get past the first act, I kind of like a Trojan horse. I love mid-century European art films, but my first film was a little was just similar in that vein. But LA, it's like people want action and all these things. So I kind of was like, okay, how do I blend kind of a commercial take on something and to tell a story about like romance and so the time travel aspect, funnily enough, I really spent a long time seeing all the quantum physics aspects of things. And most time travel movies, they always like send you back to the past, and it's like if the time travel was actually to work, the only way it would work is in the future, right? Sending yourself to the future. I think Christopher Nolan in Inception did a pretty good job of the further away you are from gravity, time is different for people. So I just wanted to handle it like, more of like a thought experiment than quotes, so like a science fiction action film or something like that.
Now, in the time travel elements for your film, how did your prop master handle the laboratory and all this kind of stuff? I mean there was like helmets and goggles and all this kind of stuff. You were
Yeah, it was. I
not
mean,
separate.
the funny thing is like we shot all that stuff last, so it's kind of like we had like time to prepare for it, but it was kind of like nerve wracking because we didn't know how all that was going to work. So that was the last stuff we shot, but we kind of built it all in like a day or two. It was pretty insane. Maren Henson was my production designer, and her whole team, the prop masters, they did a great job in building that chair. I think they found some like Burning Man people to like build that chair and stuff. So it was pretty cool. And then some of the time travel elements, a lot of it was like kind of done in sound design and things, because sound was really an integral part of this movie. And so our sound designer, Brian Berger, was amazing. And so yeah, it was a real combination of various departments coming together in the last minute to make it all work. Because our budget's not too small, but wasn't big either. So I think they did a great job considering the circumstances.
Did it take you a long time to handle those kaleidoscope montages of all those pictures
Yeah,
and
that was
photos?
cool. Yeah, that our the guy who did that is Liam Lynch. He directed the movie Tenacious D. My composer is Danny Harrison, and Liam is a good friend of Danny's. And so, actually, after we shot the film, Brandon, our lead actor, we went to Liam Lynch's house. We just did that in his garage. It was really cool. He like built that whole thing himself with all of the time travel stuff, and then we put Brandon in front of that, and we just basically projected the all of that kind of psychedelic imagery over his face and recorded that. And we took that and kind of like a matte painting. We then built that and put that into the movie. So it was kind of a fun experience because I had never really worked with um, special effects or stuff like that before. So every day was kind of like learning new techniques and new things. So it was cool.
Most excellent. Now, why did you divide your film into chapters for yourself?
Yeah, well, in the script, it always was written as Sean and future Sean, just so people kind of like, when you're reading the script, it's kind of like difficult to know which version was which. And so I kind of had that in the thing. And then when my editor and I were working on the film, we were like, you know what, it'd be so great if like when you read the script, it's so easy to know who's who. And even when we were making the movie, I was like, okay, is this future Sean or Sean? So when we made the movie, it was so easy to delineate the two of them. And we're like, well, there's no way we can like kind of like tell that in the movie. So then we're just like, you know what, maybe it'd be good just to do these chapter breaks. So we just kind of like had that idea of just kind of setting that up so people had a sense of that there's two different characters and there's two different versions of him. So we just said, you know, might as well just show them like we had in the screenplay and like how everybody had talked about it on set. So it was just an easy way to do it.
So when you were writing the script, could you tell us about the development on how you want to handle, you know, the conversations between Nichole and Sean, you know, throughout the entire movie?
Yeah, I mean, it was just, you know, because this is my second film, I kind of knew budgetary constraints and kind of like what you could and could not do based upon the budget. So I just, you know, I just knew that, you know, as a chamber ensemble piece, it's really hard to keep a movie going with just two people essentially for 90 minutes. So, you know, my thing was kind of just in my head of like love scene, fight scene, kind of like go between those two things. But then once we got to set, it was really cool. The actors would essentially, I always work with my editor and he comes to set with me. And so what we would do is I would be kind of working on other things or, you know, working with the cinematographer and the actors would workshop the scenes with the editor. And so they might write, like they would sometimes like write new dialogue or kind of like figure stuff out. And then we would print that. And then I would get the kind of the new sheets. So sometimes I was learning what the dialogue would be in the scenes from what they had built in the morning. So I'd be kind of like reading along and watching and kind of like directing. So a really interesting process for me, kind of giving them that freedom because sometimes I wouldn't know exactly what the dialogue would be in the scene until I got there. So it was cool to like let them see. It was kind of like it's almost like being a producer in a band. You know, it's like I think Rick Rubin talks about working with the Red Hot Chili Peppers in the last interview. The album just came out, and he just said, you know, he gets to set. I mean, excuse me, he gets to the room and he doesn't know the songs. He's just there to make it better. So I kind of felt like that was the same process for me. I didn't quite know what the dialogue would be sometimes, but I was there just to kind of like make it better and kind of work with the actors. But it was kind of their show.
So how is Tanya and Brandon perfect for these roles? That
Oh, there's. I mean, they were just. I don't know. I just something about casting both of them was just really, you know, casting, as they always say, is really that's the major job of the director, figuring out like the perfect people to play it. And so, you know, I think they both just had. I don't know. I just knew something about their chemistry together. You know, kind of fashion based, kind of movie star looking type of dude, and unique. You know, she's French and what is she? She's French, Jewish, Italian, and Catholic. So she just has a really interesting, you know, combination to her. And so like the two of them together were just kind of like polar opposites, but I kind of really think it, you know, fit. You know, he's blonde and she's brunette, and just kind of that dynamic of, you know, she's hot and feisty, and he's kind of, you know, kind of the everyman. So I think that worked out for us.
And could you tell us how you score Rosanna Arteta into your film here as the
Yeah,
science?
our producer knew her, and she's friends with Danny Harrison, and we actually had Tatum O'Neal originally in the movie, but she couldn't do the movie. Her daughter Emily is in the movie as the assistant. But yeah, Tatum knew Rosanna as well. So when Tatum kind of like, you know, had to move out of the movie for different reasons, we kind of like approached Rosanna and just she kind of knew all the people, producer, the cinematographer, the composer, and Emily. So kind of worked out in our favor.
Now, did doing a film like this, did you film in chronological order, or do you have to do it in certain scenes?
No, yeah, I wanted to. As I said, we built the time machine, all that stuff last. Just because we only got Rosanna for 4 or 5 days. I think it was at the end of the shoot. So we did all the Rosanna stuff, all the time travel stuff last. So it was interesting because so much of the beginning of the movie, like the characters already had played the parts. So it was interesting for them to kind of like know the scenes and play it back. So some of the tiebacks was cool. And that's allowed us to kind of loop the movie in a really cool way because as the movie really is, because they already played everything. So But most of the love scenes, most of the second and third act were kind of in order. So it was just kind of the first act. So we did act 2 and 3, and then the first act. So it was kind of perfect for the movie in a weird way.
Great. And so what's next for you, Ryan?
Yeah, we're just this year we're taking the film out. So this is the first festival of many. We just found out we got into the Montreal Independent Film Festival. We also got into the Valencia Independent Film Festival. We have a couple more applications out, so I feel like this is just the first of many. And yeah, I'm just taking my third feature out, kind of trying to get that off the ground as well. So it's exciting. So 2 things: release one movie while prepping the next one. I'd like to shoot the short of that at the end of the year. So just kind of keep the momentum going.
Is it going to be another sci-fi or possibly like a romantic drama?
Yeah, it's kind of like my thing. Yeah, I feel like it's both sci-fi and romantic. So funny. So it's like, yeah, I feel like I like to do this same kind of movie at like a little bit higher budget level because I kind of got my sea legs under me now. And my first movie was a romance. So in a weird way, it's kind of in my head, I'm thinking of it as kind of this like trilogy that I kind of need to like put to bed in my own head. So yeah, actually it will be. So
Most excellent. Well, Ryan, hey, thank you very much for speaking with us. And once again, congratulations.
yeah, cool.
Thank you.
Bye.